Welcome to Beast Wars Wednesdays. I am your host, and so is he. I'm your host, Predacon Paul. This is Decepticon Doug.
Decepticon Doug. I love it. Thank you. Would you believe that it has been 20 years since the release of Beast Wars? One of the most influential shows that we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely groundbreaking as far as like animation style. It was the second project of Mainframe Studios after Reboot.
Which was a fantastic show.
Which was a great show. Unlike Reboot, the show didn't have to accommodate the visual style nearly as much because they had kind of worked out a lot of the kinks with Reboot.
Yeah.
So they could kind of get right into Beast Wars, into the storytelling.
Mm-hmm. So we watched Beast Wars, Part 1 and Part 2. The first episodes of Beast Wars, or in Canada if you watched it on YTV, Beasties.
Beasties!
And immediately the show starts. This hyperspace portal thing opens up. This crazy looking battlecruiser comes flying out of it.
You ever notice that there's actually kind of some similarities between that and the opening of Star Wars: A New Hope?
Yeah.
I'm just like, right away, like there's a space dogfight. One of the main objectives of Beast Wars was to be, first and foremost, a science fiction show rather than like a kid show or a Transformers show.
Yeah.
Kind of get that right off the bat with the fact that it starts with a space battle, as so many science fiction films and shows do. So the show opens up with a space battle between a Maximal and a Predacon cruiser. Essentially, these are the evolved states of what were once the Transformers of the classic series. Mm-hmm. The Autobots upgraded to the Maximals.
Yeah.
The Decepticons upgraded to
the Predacons. Yeah. The Maximal's pursuing Megatron because he stole a golden disc from Cybertron, their home planet, because it has on it a map that leads them to a planet that is supposed to be rich with energon.
The crash makes them land on a planet that they don't know what it is.
Or when it is. Because
they came through a transwarp tunnel, it could have been any point in time.
Or any point in space.
And so, they're stranded on an alien world with no way to contact their home.
They find out that their robot forms cannot handle the amount of radiation and energy that is in the atmosphere of this alien world because of this element called energon, which is what their starships thrive on, which is what they themselves are powered by. There's too much of it on this planet.
Luckily, they are Transformers. They can take the forms of the life forms around as a protective organic shell from the energon. The Maximals take form of various mammals, and the Predacons take form of dinosaurs and insects, or arachnids. Immediately, the Predacons, there's dissension in the ranks. Dinobot, one of the Predacons, accuses Megatron of being a horrible leader because he got them crashed on this world. Then now they're stranded, and I mean, to be fair, Megatron did kind of screw them over.
He did. And their shields were down. They took a direct hit to Sector 7.
Poor
Sector 7.
Yeah.
And Megatron decided to go broadside and use his side guns as opposed to his main weapons.
What an idiot. Everyone knows you use your main weapons when you got your enemy crippled. Kick them while they're down, man.
Yeah, man.
First rule of the game. So, when Dinobot challenges Megatron for the leadership of the Predacons, Megatron does an underhanded thing, gets the second-in-command Scorponok to launch a missile and launch Dinobot to the other side of the map. Plot-seeking missiles.
Yes.
The Maximals are having a little bit better luck, although Cheetor, the youngest of the crew members, goes to show off how fast he is because he's a cheetah now.
Yeah.
Because this alien planet has the same animals as Earth.
Yeah, but it's not Earth.
No, it's not. No. It couldn't be Earth. There's 2 moons. Cheetor runs into Waspinator. A firefight ensues. The Maximals go off to check out the situation, and would you believe it? The Predacons are there too. Megatron, being the loudmouth that he is, monologues his way through this whole conversation.
Peace, perhaps on your side, Maximal scum. Yes, but not on ours. Permit me to inform you that an enemy which appears to be peaceful may in fact be merely biding its time.
Calling into conversation might be a little generous. So Cheetor gets trapped under a rock because that's what young guys who are reckless do. They just get trapped under rocks all the time. Optimus goes in to save the day. He gets an owie on his backpack. Then they retreat, head back home, and Predacons are like, let's chase him. But the energon waves make them have to go back into beast mode. Fighting's over.
Yeah.
And nobody wins.
But then
On the way home,
they encounter...
Dinobot. Dinobot says, "Hey man, I hate Megatron too.
I want to join your club.
I'm gonna join your team.
Here's a catch. I kind of want to lead."
I want to be boss."
He challenges Optimus to a fight to the death. It's like, why not like an arm wrestle or some shit?
But Megatron, being the big fat opportunist he is, he's like, "I'm going to monologue like a Shakespearean actor."
And they all hide behind these rocks like rascals.
Yeah,
Like, we're gonna get him.
like a bunch of goofballs.
And then they're like, fire! And they're like, tew, tew, tew.
And then essentially they blow up the bridge after Dinobot establishes that he has a sense of honor, and Optimus establishes that he's not going to kill Dinobot.
And then the missiles hit a mountain. This mountain, like the core of it, is all energon.
If the Predacons were to harvest,
That crystal.
they would have this much power. That's enough to take over the galaxy. Megatron, he gets all his goons to go and head toward the mountain to harvest the resources. Dinobot decides to stick with the Maximals and help them stop Megatron, because if there's one thing Dinobot hates more than Maximals, it's Megatron.
They have to fight in beast form because they're too close to the energon crystal once they get there. Megatron, in a show of idiocy, transforms into his robot form because he felt like he was losing the fight, even though like he was relatively undamaged and Optimus couldn't stand. And Optimus was like, "It's over, Megatron," and he was like, "No!" Transforms.
So you win an argument with Megatron, you go, "It's over."
Yeah, he's like,
No!
"Ah, missile!"
He doesn't like that.
Dinobot, in a show of honor, flicks the missile with his tail as he's running by. He's like, ping, and the missile goes, psh, and then it, agitates the energon just enough that it starts to like resonate. And then like all the other crystals start to vibrate, and then before you know it, they're running.
Everyone's running for their lives, because if it explodes with them in it, they explode as well. Luckily, the Maximals apparently make excellent time running away from that explosion.
They somehow cleared like, I don't know, 200-300 kilometers easy.
Yeah. When Maximals book it, man. Megatron also, it looks like he was about to die, but guess what, guys? Spoiler alert, Megatron ain't dead.
No.
What
sets this apart from open battlefield, warlike approach of the original Transformers?
The original Transformers has its charm, for sure.
Oh yeah. Especially the sound effect.
But the shortcomings of the animation and the writing at the time kind of don't translate as well today.
They didn't age well.
There was a lot of intention with Beast Wars to kind of make the stories more character-driven and more personal. Part of that is by limiting the amount of characters.
Yeah. They actually had concepts for a lot more characters for each faction, but due to budget limitations, because of how complex that animation was back in the day, they had to go with half a dozen people on each team. It was viewed as kind of a curse, but immediately the writers, they were like, actually no, this is a good thing. We can really flesh out each of these individual characters. They can be unique.
As opposed to like the original Transformers, where basically there were different models of a car, they could actually play around with the character traits of each animal.
Even down to how they're voice acted, down to their personalities, the little quirks.
And that was the appeal behind that final battle in the pilot, is that they had to fight in beast form, so you had to sort of see these characters use the limitations that they are given in this show.
Yeah.
You had to sort of see them have to work with that. They're no longer just robots in disguise. They are also now
beasties.
They are beasties.
Who thought up that name?
So the purpose behind the name change from Beast Wars to Beasties is because there's Canadian laws that a kids show could not have the word war in their title.
I get that.
Yeah.
Why Beasties? Like Beasties.
I have no
it's
idea.
cute.
True story. Before I watched Beast Wars for the first time, and I heard that Beasties was coming up, I thought it was going to be like a kind of a kids horror show, like Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh yeah.
Or Goosebumps.
Or
something like that. And I was at my grandma's place. My mom, who was actually kind of like protective and sheltered me a little bit, wouldn't let me watch some of those shows. I'm like, I'm going to watch this show. No one's going to stop me because I'm at my grandma's place. Ah! But then, like, it was way better than I was expecting, because I thought it was
Starships.
and the moment the title card came up, beasties, and then it said underneath that Transformers.
Yeah.
My mind was blown. I'm like, a new Transformers show, which there had not been in my memory, because when Transformers first came out in 1984, I wasn't born. It was still being made for a few years, but I was way too little.
Yeah.
For my life, I loved Transformers. I loved the idea. I had some of the toys, but I did not have a Transformers show to call my own.
Yeah. It just so happens that night, he had a camera rolling.
I did. We're going to play you that footage of that very night. Right now.
Okay, Douglas. Enjoy your Saturday cartoons.
Sure thing, Grandma.
Dude,
Wow.
you haven't aged a day.
Blast from the past. Yeah.
How do you do it?
Unicorn blood, mostly. Yeah. Also, good hygiene diet, stuff like that. Yeah. So Beast Wars has actually left a pretty good lasting impression.
Yeah.
Transformers never really went entirely dormant since then. There's always been Transformers shows of
Beast Machines was immediately after it.
with Robots in Disguise and Armada, and then there's tons of other ones. But I do feel like this kind of brought Transformers back from the dead after the 80s.
Here's the thing, it's not one of those series that needs to find its stride. Immediately it hits you, immediately it plants seeds, immediately it's got compelling characters that you just want to know more about.
You could tell right away that they didn't feel like they had to make it a Transformers show necessarily.
Yeah.
They didn't have to build on the pre-existing characters. They just had this clean slate of brand new characters that had no connection to Optimus Prime, Ironhide, the original Megatron. They just had a world that they could explore that was purposefully separate.
Out of time, out of space, just it's on its own.
And the stranded aspect kind of protected them from having to explore the bigger world of the Transformers.
That's one thing the first couple episodes does amazingly, is it sets up the conflict within the Predacon camp, and then the conflict within the Maximal camp. You've got Rat Trap, who does not follow orders. He's not a team player. Although
Cheetor is really reckless and just goes out and does his own thing without thinking nearly as much as he needs to, given their tactical disadvantage. Then there's Dinobot, which is a really fascinating concept of the Predacon turncoat, and instantly there's this dynamic in the group of this unpredictable element of can we trust this Predacon and his hatred of Megatron over his own powerful ambitions. And the fact is, the matter is that the Maximals can't just scrap him, because due to the numbers, they kind of need him to be a soldier on their side.
There's no better source of information on the enemy camp than this turncoat.
That's one of the things that the first episode, Beast Wars, establishes very well. Not to mention the fact that it does show that Optimus Primal is a very capable and very honorable leader. So overall, with Beast Wars Part 1 and Part 2, it's a good pilot, but doesn't necessarily reflect what would eventually become the quality of the show. It succeeds at establishing the conflict between the Maximals and the Predacons, the relationships within the Maximal base. We don't really get a good sense of them within the Predacon base just yet, but that's okay. We're establishing the protagonists. There's lots of time to establish the antagonists.
They serve their purpose well. They're superficially the evil bad guys. They're lizards, they're spiders, they're scorpions, and their base is a giant scary looking ship sitting in the middle of a lava pit.
Couldn't be staged better.
Yeah.
It does its job well enough in establishing the world, establishing some of the key players, even though you do kind of get the sense that they don't have as firm a grasp of these characters as they would later on. So we do kind of see, sometimes they are a little bit more caricature-ish than they would be in the future. The writing is occasionally bogged down with exposition. Occasionally it's done very gracefully.
Yep.
With lines where Dinobot says,
We stole the golden disc for nothing.
Yeah.
This can't be Earth, you idiot.
There you go. Within a line, he established where they wanted to go, what they had done, and again, some of the relationship between Dinobot and Megatron.
Yeah.
Other times, exposition is a little bit sloppy.
There's been peace between the Maximals and Predacons for hundreds of years.
And Megatron's like, what? Well, why did I steal this? Why did I ruin that piece? It's unfortunate because you have to get a lot of backstory in order for the actual episode to make any sense.
I mean, we might be looking at it through nostalgia glasses. The animation might actually hold up.
Sometimes the animation holds up. Other times, it looks very rudimentary, like with the rocks being very polygonal. Yeah. And also the muscle systems. You kind of see like them disappearing into some of the fur.
Yeah.
But like this is just growing pains of animation at the time.
And that was like the best they could do.
It was pretty groundbreaking for the time. So you can't really hold that against it. So we're gonna give Beast Wars Part 1 and 2, the pilot of the Beast Wars series. We're going to give it a 3 out of 5. So thanks so much for watching the very first episode of Beast Wars Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a thumbs up if you love us. Give us a thumbs down if you hate us.
Mm-hmm.
Leave a comment.
What did you think about the pilot episode of Beast Wars? Were you disappointed?
Were you as enraptured as we were when you were kids? Do you feel the show still stands the test of time?
Yeah.
We'd love to know. Keep the conversation civil and loving. YouTube is a place of love. But please try. This is Decepticon Doug.
Predacon Paul.
Predacon Paul. Signing off. Ba-ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-ba-bum.
Your grandmother's a handsome devil.